Hello and welcome to Vert Mode. In this series, we're going to take a look at Unity, and we're going to learn it one of the ways I thought was really fun in my own experiences, which is building a game using assets that already have been given to us by Unity itself. So what we're going to take a look at is the Unity game kit. And if we go ahead and navigate over to the Unity asset store, you can check this out. This asset's been around for a while, but what it has is just a whole bunch of really awesome assets to get us started in building a game inside of Unity. Now, I want to frame this course for beginners. A lot of the tutorials out there for this series that I've seen expect you to have a moderate understanding of Unity to begin with. So I want to frame this for beginners, maybe people that are familiar, want to get a refresher, and that's going to be where we approach this from. So to get started, the first thing we need to do is we need to acquire Unity if you do not already have it. So you can find that pretty easily by just Googling Unity. And it should be one of the first ones here because it's an official website. You should be able to find it at the top. And we can actually just jump to the download page here. Now, when you download, you'll have to make an account, all sorts of different things. Just be aware that Unity is free, so you don't need to worry about that. You can navigate to the download folder and you can go ahead and get it downloaded from here. Now, what that's going to give you access to is something called Unity Hub. I already have it installed, so let me go ahead and pull up Unity Hub here. And if this tutorial is not covering the whole install, you can find videos on this. Now, Unity Hub, what it is just your directory for Unity projects and Unity install files. In terms of this project, if we take a look at it over here in the 3D game kit, we can come down and we can see that it's compatible with Unity 2022.3, as well as 2020.3. You can see there are certain things it's not compatible with here. You can see it's compatible with the built-in pipeline, but not the universal render or the HDRP pipeline. So we'll have to use the built-in here. But make sure you have one of these two installed on your machine so you can get ready and get started. Now, I would go on the assumption that it probably works with 2021, but maybe not. Since I don't have the latest release here, I can go ahead and find it. So if we come in here into Unity Hub, you'll see we have projects. This is for existing Unity projects. You have installs. This is the version installed on your machine. You can see I have 2021 installed here. This was one we were using on a video game I was working on a few years back. You have a learn section, which will take you to tutorials, which is pretty cool, and a community, which will link you to some of the socials. Now, what we want to do here is in installs, we want to come over here to install editor, and we want to install whatever version we're going to want to work with. There's different types. There's pre-releases. These are usually unstable. There's archives. This is for things that are older. You can go to the download archives, and then there's the official releases. Now, in the official release, you can see that we have a Unity 6 here. I haven't actually checked out Unity 6 yet, so cool they have that. LTS means that it has long-term support. You definitely want that if you're going to be working on a game, because games can take years to create. In the case of this one, I'm going to go ahead and grab the 2022 LTS because that is what is compatible with this version. All right, so I'm going to click install. You can pick the different components here. You can see you can do Android built-in support. This will allow you to access Android settings and iOS. It's good to just have these if you're ever going to work on a mobile game. You never know. And then there's all sorts of other support here that you can have access to, different language packs, different documentation. So I'm just going to leave this be with the defaults and click continue. And that's going to go ahead and install. You should go through and read this. So I've already read this before. So I'm going to just check I've read that and click continue. We can check I have read and install. And we can go ahead and start installing. This is going to take a bit of time. Unity is a robust piece of software, so just be aware of that. So we're just going to let that get going here, and then we'll go ahead and launch Unity and take a look inside and get rolling on our project. While this continues to install, we can monitor it down here. Let's talk about the Unity Asset Store and acquiring the assets. Now, when I do demos on Vert Mode, I use a browser dedicated to Vert Mode itself, which is linked to Vert Mode's accounts. I don't use my personal stuff, but this happens to be linked to my personal stuff. Now, one thing to be aware of is if you look into here, you'll see you are signed into Unity, and it is actually linked to your Unity account. So when you go and install Unity, it's going to have you set up an account, all that good stuff. When we go to download the game kit, we're going to want to do so on whatever our account is, so it actually links into our account. So while this installs, we can actually grab this. If I go ahead and come in here to the Unity Asset Store, And you can click this button here, which will say add to account. Now, if I toggle back to my vert mode screen, you'll see add to my assets is already there. But because I have used this on my personal account, you can see mine is clicking open in Unity. So mine should be all set up and ready to go, but what you'll want to do is click that Add Assets button and go through anything that it tells you to do. That way it's ready to go when we get in there and we can get started using it. The thing I do not want you to do, though, is do not click Open in Unity. We're going to take a look at how to open it in Unity after the fact, and take a look at Unity by itself for those of you who are new to Unity. Now, if you aren't new to Unity, and you want to check out this asset pack with us, go ahead and just click Open in Unity, and that way you can jump in and you can take a look. All right, so once we have this installed, we're ready to create a new project. You can see here that I have these installed. We got Unity 2022 installed. Now, how to create a new project is to come over here into the Project tab, and we can just click New Project here. This will open up the project interface for Unity. This is something that is constantly changing, so just be aware of that. This has changed a dozen times since I've been using Unity, and I've been using Unity now since around 2014. So yeah, it's been quite a while. They change it pretty much yearly. You'll see all sorts of different options here in terms of the different pipelines you can work in. These are set up to be optimized for particular rendering pipelines. The one we need to do, though, is the built-in render pipeline, if you recall, because if we take a look at what's supported here, you can see the built-in is the compatible one for the package we are using. Now, if you are downloading packages in a professional capacity, keep in mind that you need to make sure it's compatible with the projects that you're working on. In the past, most of the projects I have worked on have been in the universal render pipeline, which are a newer pipeline that has some really awesome tools. So just kind of be aware that when you are looking through assets, you need to check that compatibility. Now, once we have this all set, we're going to be able to create a project here by clicking this button, and it will start the process of creating a project. Now, this takes quite a bit of time. You'll also notice it set a location here. I should have double checked that. We can always move this after, but just go ahead and let this load. Unity's going to go through. It's going to load in all the scripts it needs, all that good stuff, and then we can get started. Now, you can see the directory here. I'll have to change that directory later, but no big deal. I'll do that in a moment. So go ahead and just let this fire up, and then we'll take our first steps inside of Unity to take a look at the user interface. So now that we have Unity loaded, let's go ahead and take a look at the user interface. There's a few key things I want to point out. First off is we don't really have anything going on inside the scene. So when you open Unity, you're not really going to have much to play with. There are a few key areas to talk about. The hierarchy here is going to show us everything in the scene, and each Unity scene starts with a main camera and a directional light. Then down here, we're going to have our project panel. Now, this is where our actual project lives, and our project is a folder that is created by Unity and lives somewhere on our desktop. So we'll take a look at that in a little bit. But this is going to be where our assets are stored. Now, you'll see this actually has a lot of packages already, and those were things that we included when we set this up. We're not necessarily going to use those, but we have those as additional support. Next to that is going to be the console. This is for coding, and it lets us debug things. So if there's an issue with the scene when we hit play, we'll be able to find that here. This area here is our scene view, and you can think of your scene view as kind of your work area. This is going to be the main area that we're going to be doing things in, moving things around, and crafting our levels. Next to that, we have a game toggle, and this is where we can play games at. So if we go ahead and click into that, you'll see this is our game view. Now, this is being seen through the main camera here. So if we hop back into the scene view here, and I click the main camera, you'll see that the camera actually pulls up a view of what is going on. Pretty convenient. Now, when I did that, you'll notice that this side of the screen populated here, and this side of the screen is called the inspector. The inspector is kind of like an attribute editor if you're familiar with 3D software. It's going to contain all the editable parameters that are contained on a game object. When we talk about a game object, it's pretty much anything we have inside of the game in the hierarchy scene. So each individual game object will have its own set of components in the inspector that make it operate. All right, so now that we've taken a look at the basic user interface, let's go ahead and talk about how we're going to get our assets into here. We're going to navigate up here into the Windows menu, and we're going to find our way down here into our package manager. Now, a package manager in a software usually refers to bringing in external packages that modify the software in some way. So when working inside of Unity, we're going to be utilizing this package manager. If you follow along with old tutorials, you might find the asset store, but this is no longer a built-in feature to Unity. It's external and it's now managed through the package manager. So let's go ahead and click that package manager, which is going to open the package manager window. Now, if you take a look at this, you're probably not going to find what you're looking for, because you'll notice here it's set to packages in project, and that's only going to be what we installed within Unity. You'll notice some of these are locked. You can unlock them here if you need to use them, but we're not interested in that. What we're interested in is clicking this here to get into My Assets. Now, My Assets are specific assets to you that are purchased through the Unity Asset Store. You'll notice that I have several assets here that I've used in previous projects, and some of these we may actually bring in and we'll take a look at in this course. But the one that I'm interested in here is the Unity Learn 3D Game Kit, and we can go ahead and click the download button here to access that and bring it into our file. Now, this does take a bit of time. If that download button doesn't work, you can click it over here. Sometimes that click misses, so let's go ahead and click that download. And once this is all downloaded and ready to go, we'll be able to take a look around and navigate what's going on. You'll notice that there is a bar here loading, so this is going to take a decent amount of time, just like all the other steps in this process, if you've been following along from scratch. So go ahead and just give that a moment, and then we'll dive in and we'll take a look at the basic stuff this game kit has to offer us. All right, so once it's downloaded, you'll see it switches to re-downloaded. We do have to click import, so that's the next step. Clicking that, and this once again is going to take a bit. So go ahead and let this run its course. Once it's done downloading the files after you click the import, you're going to get this pop-up here where it gives you a little bit of warning. I'm just going to go ahead and import into this one. You could choose to switch project, but I'm going to click import. That way I don't have to create a new project and it populates in here. Because this is an older package, you also might get a warning like this where it mentions it has manager dependencies. This means it requires these things to be installed and or upgraded. So if you get this warning, just go ahead and click that and it will go ahead and start that process. Okay, so the import process is finished here, and you can see that it gives us a confirmation menu here to import different things. Now, this is an opportunity to select what you do and don't want. In this case, we're going to bring everything in. But, let's say you get a kit and you just want to get trees out of it, but it comes with a ton of textures or shaders. That'd be a chance for you to uncheck whatever it is you don't want. And that just kind of prevents file bloat, especially if you're working in a production environment. The project is shared by everyone. It's stored locally on the computer in some way by everyone. So making sure that the file's not overly bloated is a good way to go. So we're going to click Next and Import, and that will go ahead and start bringing in all the assets and finally giving us some stuff to play with here inside of Unity. Quite a process start to finish if this is your first time with Unity, with the installing and getting everything up and running. So hopefully you haven't fallen asleep by now, but hey, we'll be able to dive in and take a look at this stuff soon. All right, so now that we got those set up, you'll see that it's mentioning that the quality settings are automatically set to fantastic. What does that mean? That means the render quality. So how good it's going to look. Now, the only reason you might want to change this is for performance reasons. And as you can see, it tells us how to do that here under Edit, Project Settings, and Quality menu. So if you're running on a lower end laptop or a lower end computer, you might want to consider dropping those down. All right, so we're finally at the end of our journey. We got everything in here and we're ready to dive in and take a look. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is scenes. When we talk about a scene inside of Unity, a scene is equivalent to a game level. And if you take a look down here in our project, you'll see we gained all sorts of things, including some scenes here. And you can see it has a sample scene that we can access. But I don't think this is the actual scene. This is just the Unity sample scene. If we come in here to the 3D Game Kit, you'll see it has its own scenes folder. And if we go ahead and access that, you'll see there's several scenes in here. The start, the template, these are going to be ones that we're going to look at, as well as a handful of other files in here. So you can see under gameplay, we have level 1, level 2. So these are some built-in scenes for us to take a look at. Now, if you wanted to save a scene, let's say you did something in here, built something cool, you could go to File, save as, and you'll see that it's going to refer us to our directory and to our assets folder, which is what we see over here in our project. You'll see the first thing it brings us to is the scenes and also where the 3D game kit is. Now, I don't want to do that because we haven't built anything. If we want to open a scene, we can come here to File and Open Scene, and this will go ahead and open up our browser. Now that we've looked at where those scenes live, we could go into the 3D game kit here, and we could access the scenes inside of it. We could select Start, which is going to be the game start, and click Open. And this will bring us to a scene that is designed to be the starting screen. Now, if you click on things, nothing's going to happen because we need to actually activate the game to do that. Now, the way we're going to start the game is making sure that we're in the game menu here, because this is going to be where we are able to play. And then up here at the top, these are our play buttons. So once you have a playable game, you can actually click the play button here, and it will go ahead and activate the play screen. Now, some things to be aware of on the play screen is you'll see that there's this bar up here that has some different menus. We can change these to adjust how it looks. The other thing that I haven't mentioned yet is you can move around the UI. So if you wanted to make a little bit more room, you could do so here, just kind of making more space to play. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hit play here so we can actually see the game in action. It's going to take a moment here to compile all the scripts and files, and this can actually take quite a bit of time depending on the size and scale of the game. The last game I worked on, it took about an hour to launch the game. That was a game that was very long in development, but yeah, this one's nice. It's very quick. Now, this is a very simple start menu, and once I click start, what it's actually going to do is it's going to come down here and it's going to load in one of these levels here that's in our gameplay folder. So if I click start, you'll see that it's going to load. And Unity's actually going to go grab a new scene file for us. Now, there's audio for this. If it sounds like I'm talking louder, I apologize because I have it playing in my headset. Hopefully it's not coming through on the speaker, but it might be. So once we get in here, we can play the game here. And you can see that we're actually in the game, we're playing. I can click, let's see here, figure out if we can figure out the controls. It's WASD to move. So WASD, that's kind of standard PC movement. I'm sure you are all aware if you guys have played games. The cool thing about this is you can also jump with spacebar, and you can also attack, but we need to grab a weapon first. So if we come over here, we can snag this weapon here, and that makes it so we can attack. Now, to do that, we can use the mouse. So we can click left click, right click, and we can go ahead and go through. You can do a lot of cool stuff in this game. You can break crates. You can come over here, there's little enemies that you can attack. You'll see if the enemies hit me, they're going to deal damage. And there's various platformer elements like puzzles that we can go through and we can interact with. Now, I'm not going to do a full playthrough of this. What I want you to do to kind of get started is go ahead and go through the setup. It takes quite a bit of time. I sped everything up in this video. You can see here's a health crate. I sped everything up in this video, so you wouldn't have to sit through the 3 hours or so it took me to download everything. Okay, so go ahead and get that set up and play through the level. Play through the first level, maybe play through the second. Just get an idea of what you can do in this kit, what kind of things are built in. And then what we're going to do moving forward is we're going to start breaking some of this stuff down so we can build our own level. All right, so be sure to stay tuned to check out the next installment of this series. It'll be a basic Unity overview, and we'll start diving into these tools in the future segments to start building a little game of our own using this kit. All right, so once you're ready to exit out and quit playing, as a side note, you can actually hit escape and quit, and that will do the trick. Or you can come up here and just hit the play button again at the top of Unity, and that will exit it. All right. So now that we've seen the game, go ahead and have some fun playing it. Be sure to like and subscribe so you can catch the next videos in the series once they go live.